And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, kick your legs up, get the old school typewriter out and start typing and clicking away. We're going to be creating words with cards to hopefully sell them so that we can get more cards or create books and sell those. Today we're looking at Paperback. It is a deck building word game for 2 to 5 players. Plays in about 45-ish minutes. Let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. I have the base game set up for 2 players here. What we're trying to do is create words using letters from a deck of cards in your hand. And what you're trying to do is also create these novels down here. Now, they're going to be more expensive to buy and to complete 5, 8, 11, and 17. And so what you're trying to do is try to get points to buy more letters, to then have more points to buy finish some of these books, and try to have the most points at the end of the game. Let's talk how a turn works. At the beginning of the game, everyone starts with 10 cards, 5 wilds, and an RSTLN. Now the cool thing about these cards is that when you put them together like this and you're holding at them and looking at them, you can see the letters very clearly right there. So what you're going to do is you're going to shuffle these cards up and draw 5. So I had 10 cards, I drew up 5, and this is in my hand, and I just got to create a word with it. Now these are wild, which means it can be any letters. This actually tells us how many points we get or how much money we get to spend once we finish this word. I'm just going to spell learn. L-E-A-R-N, and that is essentially 1, 2, 3. Now, whether I used all the letters or not, all 5 cards are going to go to my discard pile face up. So we've got 3 points here that we can spend, and all these cards, whether we use the letters or not, would go to our discard pile. And we could see that how expensive the letters are. They're 2 cents, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 through 10. Now you can take either card, so let's say I have a 3 cent. I could take one of these two. Let's take a closer look. Now we look at these two. I could take either one of these if I want to spend the 3 cents here, or I could just spend 2 cents. I don't get any change back, but if I want, I could get a vowel. Now the vowels, a lot of these cards have some special abilities on them. The vowels are trash after use, which means after you use this in a word, it's going to go away and go out of the game. So I could take the TI. So some of these have 2 letters, and they have to be played in this order unless a special card lets you change it. And this one says, if you trash a card from your hand, earn 1 cent. So maybe if I took this one and I put this in my discard pile, and this would now come up, and we would see the new cards here. So now we see 2 new cards there. And you can see some of the other abilities as they get better. So gain a card costing up to 4 cents. Wow, just right away if you use this C, you can gain a card pretty much for free. Anything that costs up to 4, it's a very good card. If you trash a card from your hand, gain a card worth 1 cent more than normal. Copy the ability of an adjacent card. So when you want to see where you put that L. Plus 1 card the next hand. So instead of drawing 5, you draw 6 cards. You know, if this is the first letter of the word, get 2 extra cents. You may trash the top card from any 2 of these offer piles. Over here, plus 3 cards next hand, so you draw 8 instead of 5, gives you more choices. This one's one of my favorites, double word score, but you have to trash it after use, and the J's worth 5 alone. You can get some really big points. So you're constantly trying to weigh when you make words, am I going to buy some letters that then help me get more points and more points later, or do I go directly for the points? Because at the end of the game, the only thing that's giving you points are essentially any of these wild cards that has points on them, any of these novels, which are basically wild cards that have points on them. Now look, this one's worth 5 cents, and it's worth 4 points at the end of the game. This would go in my deck if I had bought this, and then it just becomes a wild. Now remember, wilds are cool because they can be any letter, but they don't really get you any additional points. So 5 cents for 4 points, all the way up to 17 cents, but it gets you 15 points. So you keep doing this over and over. The game ends when either 2 of these piles are gone. Now there's only one 17 card in this 2-player setup, but there's a bunch of these. So, or if all these common letters are gone. Let's look at those. So these common letters can be used by anybody at any time. So when I was making my word learn earlier, if I had a word that I needed an O for, I can just use it and just refer to it as I'm making the word. And if including this letter, I have 7 letters, so 6 plus this common. I get to take this card, it's gotta be worth 5 points at the end of the game. And now this next common card, you need 8 letters. This one's kind of cool. Create 2 words. This is essentially a space bar. So you could use this to help you create 2 words. And some of the other ones are cool. Dyslexic, you can reverse a 2-letter card. So if I had this, I could make it ER. And most of them are vowels, but some of them are these special abilities. That's how common cards work. You can use them, but they're worth points if you spell out these. And if all these are gone, that's one way that the game ends, or when 2 of these piles are gone. So as the game goes on, you only started with 10 cards, but as the game goes on, your deck will get quite large. So when you draw 5 cards, you might have a lot of different things to look at. So we have one of the books that we pretty much made earlier. That's going to be points. It's a wild. We have another book. We have a J, a wild, and a T. And you could look at this and go, oh gosh, what should I do? This J is cool because it's a double word score, but I got to trash it after use. And this one says if you trash a card, you get +1. Maybe I could go like J-O-U-S-T is joust. So this would be 5, 6, and I trash the card after I use, and if I trash it, I get +1, but this is a double word score. So this is 5, 6, times 2 is 12, plus 1 for trashing it is 13. That one word, even though I had to trash the J and get it out of the game after that, I could buy this one that's worth 11. I still have 2 cents over. I could still buy this vowel, it's 2, and this 11, the Angel of Death. This is worth 10 points at the end, and this pile is small. There's only 2 cards, so if someone else gets an 11, one of the 2 piles that you need to go to end the game are there. And there's different books, Lady of the West, Vicious Triangle, there's cool little looking books as the wild and as the books that you're trying to gain points with. The game also comes with some modules that you can add to make it even better. So there's themes here, sci-fi. So for example, if anyone spells any one of these words, they get to take it, and if they have it at the end, it's 5 points. But if somebody else makes one of these words, they steal it from them. And there's different ones like Western and crime and things like that, and dystopia. There's also some special abilities that can get handed out randomly associated at the beginning of the game, and they stay with you the whole game. This person could once per turn after drawing, if you reveal a hand with 4 more wilds, you get to draw a card. Once per turn if a word has no wilds, you get an extra cent. Once per turn if the word has 3 or more wilds, you get a cent. So all these little special things that you might want to use there. Another module is they give you some cubes. Now for example, if someone spent 6 cents and grabbed this top card here, they put a cube on the bottom card because there's only 1 card there at a time, and it might be stale after a while. And if someone gets this card again, another cube. For each of these cubes, you get a discount. So this would be 6 cents normally. This would now be worth 4 cents. Another way to use these cubes is if you can't figure out a word and you show someone your hand, and they give you a word to use with that hand and you use it, you give them a bounty of 1 cube. This cube can be turned in at any time to give them 1 additional cent when they're buying a card. There also is a cooperative and or solo variant that's played sort of the same way, where they give you a suggestion of how to set these up, where we have the 5 cent, 8, 11, and 17 cent books that you're trying to get. And every turn that you do not buy one of these cards, you must place a cube on one of these uncovered cards, meaning the ones that you can see. And so you can start putting these on turns that you're not buying them. And as you lose the game as soon as any one card has 5 cubes. Of course, you'd be spreading them around any of these till you're forced to have to push a 5. And it makes it a really fun game to try to work your way up, working together with other people or playing it solo. All right, well, there is Paperback. First of all, the game is currently out of print. It sold out of its first print run, I think. And September, October is 2014 coming up shortly. There's going to be a second print run ready and available that I think has some pre-ordering there. Okay, listen to this. I do not in general like deck builders. I do not in general like word games. The odd thing is I like this game a lot. And that should say a lot, that I don't keep a whole lot of word games. I can count on 2 fingers how many word games I have in my entire collection of a few hundred. Because I'm not good at them and I don't really enjoy them. I'm sure of an engineering, logic, deduction, interaction, negotiation type. I like that type of game a lot. And I'm not very good at the word games. So I struggle at those. I don't enjoy them that much. And for some reason or another, kill me if you want, I just don't enjoy deck builders that much either. But I really like how this game plays. You're not like stuck working on a board like Scrabble and you just have nothing you can cross and trying to figure out those triple word scores and stuff like that. Sure, there's some randomness in some of the cards you get, but you're choosing which cards to fill your deck up with, and I like that. And I like how when you pull the 5 cards, it's not too bad to figure out a word at least that you can say out. Sure, I mean, if you're playing with 5 players and some people are stuck on words, you might be waiting a while, but the chances are, that was almost a positive for me when you're waiting, because a lot of times I might be the longest one to take a word. And so as it's going through other people's hands, sometimes you draw a hand up, oh, boom, I see a word right away. Other times you really got to work at it. So there's a little bit of ebb and flow there. You may have to wait for somebody. It's probably the only downside to this game. It's great with 2, though. It's great with 3. And if you play with a lot of people that are good at word games, playing with more is probably no problem either. But I really liked it. I like how it's engine building, where you're putting these cards in your deck and you're trying to, those choices of, am I going to spend this 7 or 8 cents on a really good card? Or am I just going to buy the wild card and to get the points now? Or am I going to build my engine to try to get me points later? I always love that in this game. I also like all the different variants that are in here. Man, the cubes, using them for bounty, using them for discount. I like the idea of the different special abilities that you can get. Those are kind of cool to sum up the game a little bit more. I also liked the awards where you can try to spell a word. Now we very rarely spelled one of these words, and I've seen the designer say there's maybe a variant coming up where you can just play words in the theme, and if everybody agrees with it, they'll take the card, which should get that card playable more. The common letters, that's a cool, I just really liked how it was played. Also, the cooperative version. Very interesting. I actually played it solo. I don't play a lot of solo games, but it actually was very enjoyable to sit down. I could see people that like word games playing this thing solo all day long with the cooperative setup, and they could change the pyramid and change that too if they get really good at it and kind of mess things up with them. So overall, gosh, great game, great word game, great deck building game. I definitely recommend this. If you like word games at all, you're probably going to really like this, and if you don't, give it a shot, because I did, and I really liked it. Paperback.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.